I'm Andy.
And I'm Sabrina.
And we're moms, juggling tons of stuff every day, like all you moms out there.
And you know what we love?
Really love?
Pop culture.
So what happens when being obsessed with pop culture collides with being a mom?
You get us.
So listen now to our new podcast, Pop Culture Moms,
wherever you get your podcasts.
Tonight, a very different race for the White House.
I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe. Barely 24 hours after President Joe Biden announced he's stepping aside from the 2024 race, Vice President Kamala Harris looks to have sewn up the support of the majority of her Democratic colleagues on Capitol Hill. But is it enough to bypass a fight for the nomination? The question swirling within the Democratic Party tonight as the nation hurls toward a potential brokered convention, the first in decades. Senator Bernie Sanders joins us to discuss how the left is responding to the VP's candidacy. Senator LaFonza Butler on the history Kamala Harris could make for black women nationwide. And the head of the uncommitted movement joins to discuss how delegates could vote in the upcoming Democratic National Convention. Plus,
how come you can't share the answers? What are you covering up? And what are you hiding, my friend?
I'm not covering anything.
Then why can't you answer a simple question?
The face-off on Capitol Hill that's reverberating across the country. The head of the Secret Service tonight admits to colossal failures that led to the assassination attempt that left former President Donald Trump shot. The director remaining defiant in the face of bipartisan calls for her resignation, while acknowledging the rally 9 days ago was, quote, the most significant operational failure at the Secret Service in decades. The question still being asked tonight, and the new information we're now learning about the day that shook the country. We have all that and more tonight on ABC News Live Prime. Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with that unprecedented moment in American history. Tonight, some Democratic leaders are largely uniting around Vice President Kamala Harris to be the party's nominee just about 24 hours after President Biden made the sudden and dramatic decision to not seek re-election. A short time ago, VP Harris met with her campaign staff in Delaware for the first time since Biden made that announcement. The campaign raised $81 million just in the last 24 hours. That's a new presidential donation record. In his endorsement, President Biden called her the best decision he ever made. Earlier today, in the vice president's first public appearance since the president stepped aside, she welcomed college athletes to the White House and praised President Biden for his legacy, which she described as unmatched in modern history. With the primaries now over and the president out of the race, how many delegates does the vice president need to get over the top? And where does she stand tonight? Our team is standing by, and we will talk with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and California Senator LaFonza Butler. Sanders has not publicly endorsed Harris yet. What he says it will take. But first, ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce leads us off.
Tonight, after a dizzying, history-making 24 hours, Vice President Kamala Harris walking into the former Biden campaign headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware, now transformed into ground zero of her own campaign for the White House. And tonight, President Biden, who is home recovering from COVID, joining on the phone.
The name has changed at the top of the ticket, but the mission hasn't changed at all. And by the way, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be out there in the campaign with her, with Kamala. I'm going to be working like hell, both as a sitting president, getting legislation passed, as well as in campaigning. I'm hoping you'll give every bit of your heart and soul that you gave to me to Kamala. And I want you to know, I won't be on the ticket, but I'm still going to be fully engaged.
Harris then taking the mic. Biden still on the line.
We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like family to us. And we do. Everybody here does.
It's mutual.
I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe.
Harris then adding this.
Joe is not done. Far from it. He knows there is still more work to do, and our nation will continue to praise his bold and visionary leadership as president. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
And it is my great honor to have Joe's endorsement in this race.
You sure do.
And it is my intention to go out and earn this nomination and to win.
Sources tell us Biden began to reach his decision to drop out on Saturday night with his family and closest advisors. Sunday morning, he called his vice president to share the news. Soon after, he told his senior staff, and just 1 minute later, he made the announcement. In his letter to the American people, Biden called choosing Harris as his running mate the best decision I've ever made, giving her his full support and endorsement, and telling Democrats it's time to come together and beat Trump. And within minutes, top Democrats began to rally around Harris as their nominee. Sources tell us the vice president furiously working the phones, reaching out to Democrats across the country. And by this morning, a groundswell, donations pouring in, a record $81 million. The vice president's leading potential rivals for the nomination falling in line behind her. From Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Battleground, Michigan.
Today, I am fired up to endorse Kamala Harris for President of the United States.
To Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky.
The vice president is smart and strong, which will make her a good president. But she's also kind and has empathy, which can make her a great president.
To Governor Josh Shapiro of Must Win, Pennsylvania.
President Biden yesterday endorsed Vice President Harris, as did I, as did many across this country, not only because of how honorably she has served in the past, but how absolutely ready she is to be president and to be the standard bearer for our party.
And late today, once all the major potential rivals had made their endorsements, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who was instrumental in pressuring Biden to drop out of the race, made hers. Pelosi saying, with immense pride and limitless optimism for our country's future, I endorse Vice President Kamala Harris, adding, I have full confidence that she will lead us to victory. The two top Democrats in Congress, Senator Chuck Schumer and Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, plan to meet with Harris before making a final call. But Jeffries leaving little doubt.
I'm excited for that meeting. And let me say this, that Vice President Kamala Harris has excited the community. She's excited the House Democratic Caucus, and she's exciting the country.
And tonight, the president with this message to Harris.
We're still fighting in this fight together. I'm not going anywhere. And I want you to know you've always had my back, and I promise you, I will always have your back.
He describes a lot of excitement in the Democratic Party. Mary Bruce joins us now from the White House. And Mary, Vice President Harris just moments ago laid out the case that she plans to make against Donald Trump. Sounds like she's going to start tomorrow on the trail in Milwaukee.
That is the plan. She will be out there tomorrow, Lindsay. And tonight, the former California Attorney General is making it clear she is ready to prosecute the case against Trump. I want to read you this quote. Harris just saying that she's taken on perpetrators of all kinds, predators who've abused women, fraudsters who've ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. Harris saying, so I know Donald Trump's type. But Lindsey Harris is making it clear tonight she wants this race to be about more than just her and Trump, saying this will be about their two very different visions for the future of the country, Lindsay.
Trying to establish that daylight between the two candidates. Mary Bruce from the White House. Thanks so much, Mary. Of course, Donald Trump's campaign was forced to switch gears after President Biden's surprise announcement. The Republican presidential nominee took to social media to complain of having to start all over again. ABC's senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott is on Capitol Hill tonight.
24 hours after the political earthquake transformed the race for president, Donald Trump remaining out of sight, venting on social media, still attacking Joe Biden, though Biden is no longer his opponent. Trump's promise for a unifying message after the attempt on his life seems to have gone out the window. The overwhelming message today, frustration. The former president posting, we are forced to spend time and money on fighting crooked Joe Biden. He polls badly after having a terrible debate and quits the race. Now we have to start all over again. Trump posting a flurry of messages, unloading on Biden until 10:46 p.m. last night, and picking up where he left off at 6:05 a.m. this morning with more attacks on Biden, even though by then, Harris was his likely opponent. Democrats, meanwhile, flipping the script, making an issue of Trump's age, just as Trump had done for Biden.
The other side has a nominee that can barely get a sentence out. He's approaching 80. He brings us back to the past.
If you want a nominee who can put Trump's age and fitness into forefront, Kamala Harris is the person.
At 78, Trump is now the oldest presidential nominee in history. If he is elected, he will be Biden's current age 3 years into his term. In Ohio today, Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, lashing out.
A couple of elite Democrats got in a smoke-filled room and decided to throw Joe Biden overboard. That is not how it works. That is a threat to democracy. My message to Democrats who are disgusted by this process, disgusted by how anti-democratic it is, you are welcome in the Republican Party.
Vance then taking this shot at Vice President Kamala Harris.
If you want to lead this country, you should feel grateful for it. You should feel a sense of gratitude. And I never hear that gratitude come through when I listen to Kamala Harris.
But it turns out that Trump himself was once a supporter of Kamala Harris. He donated $6,000 to her 2014 campaign for re-election as California Attorney General, including this check.
Interesting tidbit that Trump was a former supporter of hers, financially at least. Rachel Scott joins us now from the Capitol. Rachel, with Joe Biden now out of the race, do we know yet how the Trump campaign is switching strategies for now a new contender?
Yeah, and the Trump campaign really did want it to be President Biden on the Democratic ticket this November, especially given all the questions about President Biden's age and mental fitness. So now they are having to make this pivot. So sources do tell me that they plan to continue to attack Vice President Kamala Harris on her record as serving as President Biden's vice president. They also plan to go after her time serving as a prosecutor and California's Attorney General, Linsey.
All right, Rachel Scott from Capitol Hill for us. Thanks so much, Rachel. Now to the speculation swirling tonight about who could be tapped as Kamala Harris's running mate if she secures the Democratic nomination. And for that, we turn to ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl.
As Vice President Kamala Harris edges closer to getting the pledged delegates she needs to clinch the Democratic nomination, her team is already focusing on the process of choosing a running mate, tapping former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder and his law firm to prepare to begin vetting potential candidates. And speculation among Democrats close to Harris has focused on several elected officials, including North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, who has been elected governor twice in a state Democrats hope to win this year. Popular first-term Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, a state Harris needs to win. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, a moderate and a rare Democratic governor in a red state. And former astronaut and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, husband of Gabby Giffords. In Pennsylvania today, Shapiro was asked about speculation he could be chosen as Harris's running mate.
This is a deeply personal decision that the vice president will make. She will make it on her own timetable and her own timeline.
He also pointed out he's known Harris for 20 years.
We have both been prosecutors.
Governor Shapiro was one of the first calls the vice president made after President Biden announced he was bowing out.
Our conversation was all about how we beat Donald Trump and protect our freedoms here in this Commonwealth.
Governor Cooper has also known Harris for some 20 years, going back to when they were both state attorneys general. Today, he talked about Harris's recent visit to North Carolina to mark the anniversary of the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade.
How dare they? How dare they?
She's going to bring that excitement to the people that we need to bring to the polls. The young people, women, suburban women who can vote either Republican or Democratic.
Governor Beshear today was asked what he would bring to the table if he were to be tapped as Harris's running mate.
Certainly, we've shown that we know how to win. We know how to reach across the divide and how to campaign in a way where we talk to people and not at them.
We'll likely know her selection in the next few days. Our thanks to Jonathan Karl for that. There's certainly been a lot of talk about this whirlwind 24 hours for Kamala Harris. But what about her record as vice president? Our Terry Moran takes a deeper dive.
Vice President Kamala Harris says she will, quote, earn and win this nomination. If and when that happens, it will be an unprecedented moment in American history. A major party's nominee replaced just a little more than 100 days before the election.
I am firsthand witness that every day our President Joe Biden fights for the American people, and we are deeply, deeply grateful for his service to our nation.
Kamala Harris stepped onto the national stage 4 years ago.
I accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States of America.
District Attorney turned senator, she became the first woman Vice President of the United States.
And what a testament it is to Joe's character that he had the audacity to break one of the most substantial barriers that exists in our country and select a woman as his vice president.
Now, overnight, Vice President Harris is in the driver's seat to become her party's nominee for president, and her record as VP is now under the microscope. The Republicans immediately took aim at Harris and her work on a key issue this year, immigration.
If you ever wondered how Joe Biden could get the border so screwed up, remember, he had help.
That ad was released just hours after Joe Biden announced he'd be stepping aside, and days after several Republicans blasted Harris at the Republican convention last week.
Kamala had one job, and that was to fix the border. Now imagine her in charge of the entire country.
At the beginning of the Biden administration, Harris was put in charge of addressing the root causes of migration at the southern border.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come.
Illegal crossings have reached unprecedented levels at times during the Biden presidency.
We can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it. I'm ready to fix it.
In February, after months of negotiating, senators in the White House announced a bipartisan border deal that both sides believed would work to solve the crisis. But the bill died when former President Trump came out against it.
We all see that there's a problem. Let's all agree that we need to do something. And if they say we're not going to do this, my response back to them is, okay, go negotiate something, because we can't just sit here and do nothing.
Recently, the Biden administration has been touting an executive order that the DHS says has cut border apprehensions by 50% in the last month. As vice president, Harris has notched the most tie-breaking votes in Senate history, clearing the way for the Biden administration's ambitious legislative agenda. And even before Biden dropped out of the presidential race, many Democrats were pointing to Harris's work as the administration's lead voice on abortion rights as evidence of her potential to head a ticket.
America must trust women. America must honor individual choice. America must defend freedom.
The vice president has crisscrossed the country ever since Roe v. Wade was overturned 2 years ago, warning of what a second Trump term would mean for reproductive rights in America.
You cannot claim you stand for unity if you are intent on taking reproductive freedoms from the people of America and the women of America.
Now, strategists in both parties say this will be a far different campaign.
So who would you like to most run against if you're us, if we want to win? Ready? Kamala Harris. Crooked Joe Biden.
Donald Trump has already pivoted to attacking Harris, mocking the way she laughs at his rally over the weekend.
Kamala, I call her Laughing Kamala. You ever watch her laugh? She's crazy.
The former president is known for giving his political opponents nicknames. But it's the political split screen America could see in November that's making Washington take notice. The vice president, the daughter of Jamaican and Indian immigrants. Donald Trump, of course, who came onto the political scene questioning the nationality of former President Barack Obama and attacking illegal migrants in his first campaign speech.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people.
Now President Biden is trying to pass the torch to the daughter of immigrants and to a candidate who would be the first woman to hold the highest office in the land.
Folks, it's because of you that I'm president and Kamala Harris is vice president. And by the way, she's not only a great vice president, she could be president of the United States.
Vice President Harris will try to shore up support as she hits the campaign trail this week, relying on her experience as a former district attorney and attorney general to prosecute her case against the first convicted felon to run for the presidency.
As many of you know, I am a former prosecutor. So I say, let's look at the facts, shall we?
But with a month to go until the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Harris will first have to earn the support of the Democratic delegates before she can take on Trump.
Our thanks to Terry Moran. Joining us now is Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders. Senator, we so appreciate you joining us tonight. We've, of course, seen numerous Democrats come together to endorse Vice President Harris, including at least 40 of your colleagues in the Senate and former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. Where do you stand tonight?
Well, I'm going to do everything I can to see that Donald Trump, the most dangerous president in American history, is defeated. I think Kamala Harris is going to be our candidate. I'm going to do everything I can to see that she gets elected. But my issue right now, my concern is I want to make sure that the vice president campaigns on issues of importance to the working class of this country. And if she does that, if she stands up to corporate greed and massive income and wealth inequality and talks about the need to raise the minimum wage, to expand Social Security, to expand Medicare, to demand that the wealthy start paying their fair share of taxes, I think not only will she win, I think she can win big. But we need to have just another conversation to go over that.
And so once she does that, if she does that, she will have your endorsement, no problem.
Absolutely. I'm going to do everything I can. I was strongly supportive of President Biden because he was standing up for the working class of this country. And I know that the vice president will do the same.
Of course, you ran for president in 2016 and 2020. Both times you railed against the DNC establishment. Vice President Harris has said her intention is to earn and win this nomination. Are you concerned at all about what you're seeing now, how this process might, by some, appear not to be open and transparent, but rather a coronation?
Well, this has been a very unprecedented situation. I am not overjoyed about the way that President Biden was treated. We are where we are right now, and I'm 99% sure that the vice president will be the nominee and that she has an excellent chance to win this election.
The all-out pressure campaign on Biden came after what some might describe as the debate debacle and concerns about his age. You're 82, running for re-election at a time when the Democratic Party suggests that there's concern about the advancing age of its leaders. What do you say to those critics?
I think age is a factor, but the far more important factor is the need to look at the totality of a candidate and what he or she stands for. So if you have a vigorous, wonderful 35-year-old who wants to cut Social Security, cut Medicare, ignores the reality of climate change, wants to take away a woman's right to control her own body. Wow, isn't that great? We got a vigorous 35-year-old. I don't think so. And I think, again, media puts too much emphasis on this as some kind of beauty contest or entertainment issue. It's not. This country faces enormous problems. 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. We have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had. 3 people on top, owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society. We have got to focus on issues, bring our people together, take on very powerful special interests whose greed is wreaking havoc on our country. We do that, this country is going to go forward, and the vice president will become president.
I'm curious your stance on, you had people like Congressman Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson, who were both Democratic candidates on state primary ballots across the country, but the DNC did not allow any room for anyone but Biden. Was that a mistake?
Well, I know Marianne, and she is a very, very intelligent, decent person. And Phillips, I don't know. But yeah, I think the idea of having serious debates among the candidates is always a positive idea.
You wrote an op-ed just days ago supporting Joe Biden for president, calling him the most effective president in modern history. Do you think he made the right step to step down as pressure mounted?
That's his decision. I happen to believe that Joe Biden was the very first president in the history of our country to actually walk on a picket line defending workers in a strike. He has appointed some really, really good people to protect the needs of workers. He was campaigning on an agenda which included expanding Social Security, raising the amount of money that elderly people on Social Security will receive, increasing the solvency, expanding Medicare to cover dental, vision, and hearing, building millions of units of affordable housing, making it easier for workers to join a union, raising the minimum wage. That's why I supported Joe Biden, because Joe, in my view, was not only an effective president, and has a very strong record. But I think his agenda for the future was what the American people needed.
And last question for you, Senator. Do you think that an open convention will strengthen the candidacy of Vice President Harris?
I think there is almost universal support for the vice president right now. I think she is going to become the candidate, and I look forward to seeing her becoming the next president.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
We're joined now by California Democratic Senator LaFonza Butler. Senator, thank you so much for taking the time tonight. You've known Kamala Harris for about 15 years. You met her when she was district attorney of San Francisco, and of course, were a senior advisor on Harris's 2020 presidential campaign. What have the past 24 hours been like for you?
Thanks for the question, Lindsay. It's great to be here. The past 24 hours, really for me, have started with such a recognition of deep gratitude for the servant leadership that is embodied in Joe Biden. President Biden has done this remarkable thing of showing how to put leadership and the future of our country ahead of his own personal ego. He is a leader who we all would aspire to emulate at any opportunity we could, and it's been pretty busy. It's been a 24 hours of excitement, 24 hours of pride, 24 hours of communicating with Californians and thinking about with my little girl how just incredibly special this moment is that she gets to think about and see Kamala Harris, the vice president, be positioned to secure the nomination for the Democratic Party and to go on to beat President Trump in November.
You said you've communicated with Californians. Have you spoken to one Californian in particular, Kamala Harris?
I did. I have spoken with the vice president, and she is as determined as I have ever seen her. She is committed to doing the work and earning and winning this nomination, unifying not only the Democratic Party, but the people of this country, rejecting the future that is reflected in Project 2025 and creating a vision for our country that brings shared economic prosperity and creates a place for everyone. And, you know, I gotta tell you, I just have not heard her be so clear and certain about what is possible when we choose as a nation to do something together. And it just has been, it was an exciting conversation, and it's been an exciting 24 hours.
Back in May, I asked you if you felt like the Democratic Party has taken black female voters in particular for granted. And you just mentioned that call last night with tens of thousands of black women. Do you think that this moment will galvanize what has historically been the Democratic Party's most loyal bloc of voters?
I think this is a moment where the backbone of our party see this as an opportunity to continue to lift this country to its next level of greatness. We have never elected a candidate that embodies all of what the vice president brings to the table. It is an incredibly exciting time, Lindsay, and I think that black women and voters of all stripes are going to seize this moment to really win the future again for generations to come.
You mentioned it's an exciting time, Senator. Just humor me. Who might you think, if she is to go on to secure the Democratic nomination, might further excite the country as far as a VP pick?
So I think that it's going to be a pick that really comes down to who can she best work with, who shares her vision for the country moving forward, who is going to be committed to demonstrating every single day that the people of this country are more important than any politic or party. And I think she's got to urgently deliberate and get to a conclusion there. But anyone that she chooses, all of the names that have been out there are committed Democrats, I think, who could share that value set, and we would be well served by working with any of them.
So before I let you go, I know you're not running for re-election, but since you did work on her 2020 campaign, have to ask, might you consider joining the Harris campaign if she asked?
Look, if she asked, I would stand at the ready. This is a candidate who I have believed in since the first day that she walked into the office of my union hall back in 2009 and 2010. She has shown to me every day since then that she is committed to doing the right thing for the most people and sacrificing herself and her own personal ambition to get it done. And if this was a moment that she called me forward, I owe it to the 40 million Californians who sent us both here to make sure that we are doing the best that we can for the most people that we can, and to show my little 9-year-old daughter that she can do and be anything. That's the opportunity that's in front of us.
Senator LaFonza Butler, we thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Still much more to get to here on Prime. An update to a story we first brought you on Prime 2 years ago about a man held on a life sentence for a crime even a judge says he did not commit. But next, the intense grilling of Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle on Capitol Hill today, who is now facing calls for her resignation.
Coming of age in the 1980s, the Brat Pack was near the center of your cultural awareness. But for those of us experiencing it from the inside, the Brat Pack was something very different. On June 10th, 1985, New York Magazine published Hollywood's Brat Pack. I just remember seeing that cover and thinking, oh. From then on, my career and the career of everyone who was involved was branded to the Brat Pack.
I'm really sorry that article had to come out.
I've never talked to anybody about what that was like. So I thought it might be interesting to try and contact everyone who was in the Brat Pack. Hey, Emilio Estevez. This is Andrew McCarthy calling you. Hey, Allie. Hey, Demi. Hey, Molly. Let's call Rob. Hello. Judd? Me? You around? You were not interested in talking about the Brat Pack for years.
I turned everything down.
How come you're talking to me?
Because you called me. It was time that we clear the air on a couple of things.
I love your stuff, Bob. Hey, thank you. I hated the Brat Pack for decades. What a disaster. If you could have the Brat Pack name not exist, would you?
It really irritated me. They said, what's more important to you, the movie or your life? And I said,
the movie!
Andrew.
Have you talked to the others? The others, like, again, it feels like a cult or something.
Yeah. Why did we take it as an offense?
Well,
As opposed to
like
the
brat.
Because we were young.
We were afraid we were brats, you know? Are you in the Brat Pack?
I'm Brat Pack adjacent.
That's what I was saying.
I am not in the Brat Pack.
Don't you crush on you back in the day?
You did not, Andrew. No, you did not.
Being in the Brat Pack not only changed all of our lives, it changed what entertainment is. I mean, I'm not going to say we were the Beatles or anything.
Well, we didn't fill Shea Stadium. There were moments.
We could have. 1985, I think we could have.
So what are you filming?
Oh, we're just doing this documentary.
What's it about?
Ancient history.
More Americans choose ABC News, America's #1 news source.
Susan Powell was a young, beautiful mother. She just one night vanished.
Where is Susan?
July 29th, making sure that if something happens to me, our assets are documented.
Josh, did you kill your wife? And I'll never forget the first time that I met him. A chill just like raced up through my spine. I just shook the hand of a killer.
Now, stunning details.
He ends up revealing the biggest bombshell.
What will happen next? 2020, Friday at 9/8 Central on ABC.
Welcome back to ABC News Live Prime. We'll return to more news about Kamala Harris's nascent campaign for president. But next tonight, the blistering hearing on Capitol Hill. Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle grilled over the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, facing bipartisan calls to resign, Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle grilled in a blistering hearing on Capitol Hill. 9 days after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump.
It is my firm belief, Director Cheadle, that you should resign.
The director has lost the confidence of Congress at a very urgent and tender moment in the history of the country, and we need to very quickly move beyond this.
Cheadle calling the attack the most significant operational failure in decades.
On July 13th, we failed. I take full responsibility for any security lapse of our agency.
Lawmakers angry as the director refused to answer specific questions about what went wrong.
Have you provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th, yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of today.
Cheadle forcefully pushing back against accusations the Secret Service had denied requests for additional security at the rally. And today revealing a local SWAT team spotted Thomas Matthew Crooks on the roof of that warehouse approximately 18 minutes before Trump took the stage. Adding the Secret Service was alerted between 2 to 5 times about a suspicious person before the first shot was fired.
Why was he allowed to take the stage with a suspicious person having been identified in the crowd?
If the detail had been past information that there was a threat, the detail would never have brought the former president out onto stage.
Cheadle saying Crooks wasn't considered a threat until seconds before the shooting.
Because Donald Trump is alive, and thank God he is, you look incompetent. If Donald Trump had been killed, you would have looked culpable.
Some strong words there. Pierre Thomas joins us now. Pierre, we know that there are bipartisan calls for Secret Service Director Cheadle to resign, but what is she saying?
Tonight, she's vowing not to resign, saying she's the best person to lead the Secret Service at this time. But, Linsey, she's facing incredible pressure.
Pierre Thomas for us. Our thanks to you, Pierre. Today's 10th Secret Service testimony came just as lawmakers on Capitol Hill prepared to welcome Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu arrived in D.C. this evening just days before delivering a national address to Congress as the families of American hostages held by Hamas came together at the White House demanding Netanyahu accept a deal to bring them home. Fewer than 100 hostages are still confirmed to be alive in Gaza after the IDF confirmed the deaths of 2 more Israelis earlier today. Disturbing new body camera video was released in Springfield, Illinois today, showing the deadly police shooting of a mother shot in the head in her own kitchen after she called 911. Alex Perez has the story and a warning. The video may be upsetting.
Sheriff's Office.
The just-released body camera video shows Deputy Sean Grayson and his partner responding to Sonia Massey's house in Springfield, Illinois, after she reported a prowler. Massey, at times, struggling to answer questions.
What is your last name? Shouldn't have to think about your last name.
Then, when deputies say she can remove a pot of boiling water from the stove, the situation changes in an instant.
Where you going? Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from the hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
I
rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
You better not. I swear to God, I'll shoot you right in your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the pot. Drop the pot. Drop the
19 shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
You can hear Grayson telling his partner it's no use rendering aid.
I'm gonna go get my kit. No, headshot, dude. She's done. You can go get it, but that's a headshot.
Grayson, who did not turn on his body cam until after shooting Massey, explaining the situation to responding officers who ask, "Where's the gun?"
House is cleared. She was the only one.
Where's the gun?
No, she had a boiling water and came at me with boiling water.
You shot her?
Yeah. She said she was going to rebuke me in the name of Jesus and came out with boiling water.
Grayson charged with murder.
Our thanks to Alex Perez. And we have a major update to a story that we first brought you here on Prime back in October of 2022 about a man serving a life sentence for a murder even a judge admits he did not commit. After years of back and forth and numerous hearings, Christopher Dunn is now set to be a free man. Dunn was convicted back in 1991 for the murder of Rico Rogers. At the time, Dunn was charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. Later, the 12 and 14-year-olds who testified against him admitted that they were not telling the truth and recanted. But Missouri law only allowed inmates convicted of murder who are on death row to have their convictions thrown out. We sat down with Dunn in prison in 2022.
Are you concerned that you might die before being able to be vindicated?
To be honest with you, yeah.
I fear that the truth of what happened to me may never be known.
Tonight, Dunn's wife, Kira, tells ABC News she found out while she was at the post office and was overwhelmed with emotion. She tells ABC News she doesn't know when Chris will be released from custody, but the plan is for her to bring him home to California as soon as possible. And we still have much more ahead here on Prime. Next, it's the first time since 1976 that voters won't see a certain name on the presidential ticket. A look at America's political dynasties, plus the latest fundraising dollars by the numbers.
There was a specific moment during our wedding. I looked at Jason and I realized this was real. This was our family.
This is her knight in shining armor.
Everything felt right. All of a sudden, I found this hidden folder. I opened it and I don't think I can say it. I'm sorry.
She put her hand to her mouth and gasped.
Jason would kill me before he would let me tell anyone this part of him.
He's in so much freaking trouble.
I remember just feeling like, what the hell? That was my dad. What is going on? That's when that fire inside of me shifted to like a flame. I was like, it's on.
Betrayal is one of the hardest types of trauma to overcome.
He didn't think I had it in me to do something. So I did.
Betrayal, a father's secret. The all-new season, only on Hulu.
Let's go.
The ship is incredible. It feels like living in a science fiction movie.
We just saw what no one has seen before.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, dead ahead. Tag on!
We are heading into the unknown.
Hammer, hammer, hammer. It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
They call him the beauty queen killer. He's targeting young women in malls.
I am single. I want to enjoy the company of a member of women.
He tortured me.
How did she survive 9 days of terror?
The word accomplice came up. Nobody knows the real story.
The Beauty Queen Killer, only on Hulu. With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television. Now streaming on Hulu.
I'm a rock and roll star. I'm not a saint. I'm John Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi, the new special, what you have not yet seen. John Bon Jovi with Michael Strahan. Now streaming on Hulu. Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here.
Here's to good mornings in America.
Can you feel the love?
Oh, yeah.
Mornings that inspire, filled with hope, kindness, joyous surprises, and so much fun.
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy.
Start your day with Good Morning America's ray of sunshine, highlighting the best of America and helping
make dreams come true. Wow. I'm just so happy. It's so good.
Get ready to smile and put the good into your morning, America, because
you know what will make the morning better? A little ray of sunshine.
Reporting from the Normandy coast for the 80th anniversary of D-Day, I'm David Muir. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. Our laws and Constitution guard against the creation of a monarchy, but that does not mean we don't have political dynasties like the Kennedys. But the Kennedys, especially in recent times, are hardly the only political families with staying power, and that's tonight's By the Numbers. This will be the first general election for president since 1976 without a Bush, Clinton, or Biden on the ticket. Go with me here. From 1980 to 1992, George H.W. Bush was the Republican nominee for either vice president or president during 4 different election cycles. Then in 1992 and 1996, Bill Clinton won the presidency. The Bush surname then reappeared in 2000 and 2004 when, of course, George W. Bush was atop the Republican ticket. By 2008 and 2012, it had become Joe Biden's turn running as Barack Obama's vice president. And in 2016, after a 20-year hiatus, the Clinton name again rose to the top of the ticket with Hillary Clinton. But with Joe Biden's election in 2020, that is now the end of a remarkable 40-year stretch of seeing the name Bush, Clinton, or Biden atop our presidential ballot that first or second Tuesday in November. And we still have much more ahead here on Prime tonight, including the historic rise of Kamala Harris. Presidential historian Joanne Freeman joins us with a look at this unprecedented shakeup. Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland, from Poland once again tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home? We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Splintered houses and splintered lives, and the magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Raleigh, North Carolina, the U.S. Capitol, Mayfield, Kentucky, Minneapolis, Mexico, Tongass National Forest, Alaska. Getting you behind the stories as they happen, giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live. ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live. Streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
We're still in a flash flood warning.
To catch you up with what happened overnight. Police in riot gear arresting dozens of protesters.
What's happening today? Escalating tensions in the Middle East.
What people are talking about. The migrant crisis.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
Check out the Gator on the 17th hole.
The buzzkill in baseball.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
All right, let the dogs out, please.
I don't think he's going to give you a hard time.
Even if he gives me a hard time, I'm the right guy. I want to make sure that we all learn together.
Calm, confident.
Calm, confident, calm, surrender.
Everything that he's taught has become a reality.
Yeah. We are so grateful and impressed.
I feel like crying. You changed our world.
It is a beautiful thing to see. As you rehabilitate the dog, you also rehabilitate you.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
We are part of an operation.
Is this our combat operations center?
We're approaching the gate. Militants came in from different directions.
Nuclear reactor.
So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag...
Not a tear in it.
How important it made the USA.
Great work. Hi. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Ismail?
David.
I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Hi, I'm Andy. And I'm Sabrina. And we're moms, juggling tons of stuff every day, like all you moms out there. And you know what we love? Really love? Pop culture. So listen now to our new podcast, Pop Culture Moms, wherever you get your podcasts.
GMA's surprise people across the country, helping find thousands in unclaimed money.
This really is a big check.
Yeah! And this summer, we're at it again.
That's incredible.
Because nothing's better than hearing you say,
Show me the money!
On Good Morning America.
Welcome back, everyone. Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris paid a visit to her campaign staff after announcing her candidacy for president just hours after President Biden stepped out of the race. Harris says she is determined to earn every delegate, and her visit comes just as a new Quinnipiac poll is out showing a close to head-to-head matchup between Harris and former President Donald Trump. Trump at 49%, Harris at 47%, a statistical tie. And with this latest shakeup to the presidential ticket, let's bring in host of 538, Mr. Galen Druk. Always a pleasure to sit right across the table from you. So just let's start right out. How does Vice President Kamala Harris fare in the polls against Donald Trump?
From a starting position today, it's about approximately how President Biden was doing, and that's nationally trailing former President Trump, by about 3.5 points. But I think we should also say here that this has all been hypothetical. Voters have not been considering Vice President Harris as an actual possibility for president until this very moment. And so once it's no longer a hypothetical, we should allow American voters some time to reconsider their options.
Okay, and polls aside, if you look at favorability, how does she rate compared to President Biden?
That's a really important question, Lindsay, and I think that actually gets at part of the reason that Democrats were hoping Biden would step aside. Harris's approval rating today is net -12, which doesn't sound great until you hear what President Biden's approval rating is, which is net -18.
Okay.
So that's essentially the number of Americans who approve of that person minus the number of Americans who disapprove. So net -12 puts Harris at about the same level as Trump currently. That also means because her approval is a bit better than Biden's, still underwater, but a bit better, she may have a higher ceiling than Biden.
What are the current limitations on polling?
First and foremost, the limitation on polling today is that we have had so much happen in the past week. I mean, Lindsay, we've been covering this. The assassination attempt on former President Trump, the Republican National Convention, Biden getting out of the race, Kamala Harris now the expected Democratic nominee, that voters need a beat to figure out what to make of it all and form their opinions accordingly. Something we should be concerned about right now, a reason to take a beat maybe a week before we start seriously considering the polling, is that based on those fundraising numbers we saw, Harris raising $80 million in a 24-hour period, it wouldn't surprise me if Democrats were particularly eager to respond to polls today.
And just in the last 30 seconds that we have here, just walk us through the party nomination process. Is there any validity to the claims by some Republicans who are saying that it's unlawful for the Democrats to replace their nominee at this point?
The short answer is no. There was no nominee. There was no nominee this weekend. There still isn't a nominee.
He was the presumptive nominee.
So really, they aren't trying to replace a nominee. The important part of this answer is that the parties are not in the Constitution. The way that parties select a nominee is largely up to them. They make their own rules. It's written up by the DNC committees, and that's what guides this process. And the delegates at the convention have to adhere to those rules that say, in all good conscience, vote for the person that you have been sent to support by your state. Biden has now dropped out of the race. In all good conscience, it seems they are going to vote for Harris. Now, I don't think that there are serious legal claims that can be made there, although Republicans may attempt to. Really, ultimately, that's the law.
Such good information. 538's Galen Druk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. This shakeup in the top ticket impacts not only the nomination process for president, but also is unprecedented as it lays a path forward for a woman of color to be president for the first time in the United States. To put all that into context, I want to bring in presidential historian Joanne Freeman. Joanne, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So give us a sense of why this path to the nomination, the convention, is so unconventional.
It's a nice way of putting it. I think most people tend to think of the convention as kind of a rite or a ritual that's the same way every single time and there are no surprises. They tend to be that way, but there's actual voting going on by delegates at the convention. And of course, what just happened in President Biden deciding not to run for re-election and endorsing Kamala Harris is that the people at the convention who were pledged to vote for him are no longer pledged to vote for anyone. Now, him endorsing her, and so many Democrats today endorsing Kamala Harris, means that she has a very strong ability to get enough delegates at the convention to get the nomination. But it certainly makes this convention, as you just put it, a little bit unconventional.
Talk to us about 1972 and the significance of that year as far as how conventions ran and how this year in Chicago will be different.
Well, given that conventions actually are not coronations, you really do never quite know what's going to happen. And sometimes that involves protest. Sometimes that involves surprises on the floor. There's no telling. We live in, let me put it this way, we live in a time of extreme contingency where we honestly never know what the heck is going to happen. And I think this convention just puts itself front and center as another example of that.
What would Kamala Harris, the choice for her, mean historically for our country?
Well, it would mean a lot of things. I mean, obviously, having a woman of color, a black woman, as president would be stunning. And I think for a lot of people who voted for Hillary Clinton and saw that not happen, it gains even more power. I think in this moment, when democracy is really at risk, and there are many on the right who are seemingly not entirely friendly with some, how do I want to put this, policies towards women? We'll put it that way. Not woman-friendly, not always friendly in terms of race. I'm being very delicate here. However you want to put it, having this woman take this place at this moment with the kind of danger democratically that we're in at this time matters tremendously. And I think anyone who stands up for democracy is going to be happy that she is coming into this place at this point.
You're kind of tiptoeing around some meaty issues there. Do you think that America is ready to vote for a woman of color for president?
I do. I mean, you're correct. I'm talking about racism. I'm talking about misogyny. Right? I'm talking about a lot of things. And they're there, and they're strong, and we've had a lot of them in public rhetoric, among some candidates for high offices. That is true. But I think the candidate is ready for this position, and I think America is ready. You know, whenever in American history have we been ready for change? Change happens.
We just have a few seconds left. Has a brokered convention ever worked before?
Yes and no. It can work, but it's a challenge. I will say that at the outset. So I'm hoping that those in power are really gunning to pull things in.
Joanne, thank you so much for your insight and your time. And that is our show for tonight. I'm Linsey Davis. ABC News Live is here for you all night with the latest news, context, and analysis. You can always find us on Hulu, Roku, Pluto TV, the ABC News app, and of course on abcnews.com. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night. Coming up in the next hour, this unprecedented moment in American history. Kamala Harris hits the campaign trail for the first time since President Biden stepped aside. And could Biden's exit from the race mean a change in America's foreign policy, including Israel's war on Gaza?
There is a price to be paid every time a survivor shares their story.
I think it's so hard to live every day feeling like, like I must be broken.
I had just turned 14. And it was scary. It was scary. I will not be silenced.
This church has been alive for decades, and the next thing you know,
all hell breaks loose.
What is the 2x2 church?
It is a secret sect. It flies under the radar. If you don't agree with them, your salvation is at stake.
A stunning amount of information has come out about the misdeeds of some of the ministers. These same people preaching this message were the ones hiding horrific, horrific things.
Do you feel the church accepted abuse?
I wouldn't say accepted it as so much pretended it didn't exist.
Yep, that's him.
Yep.
Ready? Kira Phillips with ABC News. Did you sexually abuse Sherry Autry when she was 14 and you were 28?
No comment.
Do you believe your church protected you? Does your church protect sexual predators?
The powerful new Impact by Nightline.
So the church saw itself as judge and jury.
There's nothing pretty about hearing this.
Secrets of the 2x2 Church. Now streaming only on Hulu.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions.
Operational nuclear reactor.
So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work.
Hi. Where are you? Where are you?
Appreciate you.
Thank you, David. Good to meet you.
Ismail? David.
David.
Yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture, with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food.
It's all coming up on GMA3.
You're going to love it. We'll see you then.
GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us. Afternoons.
For everything you need to know.
I love that.
Me too.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News live.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with that unprecedented moment in American history. Tonight, some Democratic leaders are largely uniting around Vice President Kamala Harris to become the party's nominee just about 24 hours after President Biden made the sudden and dramatic decision not to seek re-election. A short time ago, VP Harris met with her campaign staff in Delaware for the first time since Biden made that announcement. The campaign raised $81 million in the last 24 hours, a new presidential donation record. In his endorsement, President Biden called her the best decision he ever made. Earlier today, in the vice president's first public appearance since the president stepped aside, she welcomed college athletes to the White House and praised President Biden for his legacy, which she described as unmatched in modern history. With the primaries now over and the president out of the race, how many delegates does the vice president need to get over the top? And where does she stand tonight? Our team is standing by tonight from Capitol Hill to the White House. Our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, leads us off.
Tonight, after a dizzying, history-making 24 hours, Vice President Kamala Harris walking into the former Biden campaign headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware, now transformed into ground zero of her own campaign for the White House. And tonight, President Biden, who is home recovering from COVID, joining on the phone.
The name has changed at the top of the ticket, but the mission hasn't changed at all. And by the way, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be out there in the campaign with her, with Kamala. I'm going to be working like hell, both as a sitting president, getting legislation passed, as well as in campaigning. I'm hoping you'll give every bit of your heart and soul that you gave to me to Kamala. And I want you to know, I won't be on the ticket, but I'm still going to be fully engaged.
Harris then taking the mic, Biden still on the line.
We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like family to us. And we do, everybody here does.
It's mutual.
I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe.
Harris then adding this.
Joe is not done. Far from it. He knows there is still more work to do, and our nation will continue to praise his bold and visionary leadership as president. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
And it is my great honor to have Joe's endorsement in this race.
You sure do.
And it is my intention to go out and earn this nomination and to win.
Sources tell us Biden began to reach his decision to drop out on Saturday night with his family and closest advisors. Sunday morning, he called his vice president to share the news. Soon after, he told his senior staff, and just 1 minute later, he made the announcement. In his letter to the American people, Biden called choosing Harris as his running mate the best decision I've ever made, giving her his full support and endorsement, and telling Democrats it's time to come together and beat Trump. And within minutes, top Democrats began to rally around Harris as their nominee. Sources tell us the vice president furiously working the phones, reaching out to Democrats across the country. And by this morning, a groundswell, donations pouring in, a record $81 million. The vice president's leading potential rivals for the nomination falling in line behind her. From Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Battleground, Michigan.
Today, I am fired up to endorse Kamala Harris
for President of the United States.
To Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky.
The vice president is smart and strong, which will make her a good president. But she's also kind and has empathy, which can make her a great president.
To Governor Josh Shapiro of Must Win, Pennsylvania.
President Biden yesterday endorsed Vice President Harris, as did I, as did many across this country, not only because of how honorably she has served in the past, but how absolutely ready she is to be president and to be the standard bearer for our party.
And late today, once all the major potential rivals had made their endorsements, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who was instrumental in pressuring Biden to drop out of the race, made hers. Pelosi saying, with immense pride and limitless optimism for our country's future, I endorse Vice President Kamala Harris, adding, I have full confidence that she will lead us to victory. The two top Democrats in Congress, Senator Chuck Schumer and Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, plan to meet with Harris before making a final call. But Jeffries leaving little doubt.
I'm excited for that meeting. And let me say this, that Vice President Kamala Harris has excited the community. She's excited the House Democratic Caucus, and she's exciting the country.
And tonight, the president with this message to Harris.
We're still fighting in this fight together. I'm not going anywhere. And I want you to know you've always had my back. And I promise you, I will always have your back.
Our thanks to Mary Bruce. Donald Trump's campaign was forced to switch gears after President Biden's surprise announcement. Trump then took to social media to complain of having to, quote, start all over again. Our senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott is on Capitol Hill tonight.
24 hours after the political earthquake transformed the race for president, Donald Trump remaining out of sight, venting on social media, still attacking Joe Biden, though Biden is no longer his opponent. Trump's promise for a unifying message after the attempt on his life seems to have gone out the window. The overwhelming message today, frustration. The former president posting, we are forced to spend time and money on fighting crooked Joe Biden. He polls badly after having a terrible debate and quits the race. Now we have to start all over again. Trump posting a flurry of messages, unloading on Biden until 10:46 p.m. last night, and picking up where he left off at 6:05 a.m. this morning with more attacks on Biden, even though by then, Harris was his likely opponent. Democrats, meanwhile, flipping the script, making an issue of Trump's age, just as Trump had done for Biden.
The other side has a nominee that can barely get a sentence out. He's approaching 80. He brings us back to the past.
If you want a nominee who can put Trump's age and fitness into forefront, Kamala Harris is the person.
At 78, Trump is now the oldest presidential nominee in history. If he is elected, he will be Biden's current age 3 years into his term. In Ohio today, Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, lashing out.
A couple of elite Democrats got in a smoke-filled room and decided to throw Joe Biden overboard. That is not how it works. That is a threat to democracy. My message to Democrats who are disgusted by this process, disgusted by how anti-democratic it is, you are welcome in the Republican Party.
Vance then taking this shot at Vice President Kamala Harris.
If you want to lead this country, you should feel grateful for it. You should feel a sense of gratitude. And I never hear that gratitude come through when I listen to Kamala Harris.
But it turns out that Trump himself was once a supporter of Kamala Harris. He donated $6,000 to her 2014 campaign for re-election as California Attorney General, including this check.
Our thanks to Rachel Scott. Of the roughly 4,000 delegates at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago next month, 36 represent primary voters who cast ballots for the uncommitted instead of President Biden over his handling of the war in Gaza. Joining us now is Leila El-Abed, the head of the Uncommitted National Movement, one of the leading grassroots organizations behind the Uncommitted Push. Leila, we thank you so much for joining us tonight. As the group's leader, you have indicated that Kamala Harris might be able to win UNM support. What's it going to take?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Right now, communities like Michigan who had successful uncommitted campaigns with the Listen to Michigan campaign and who've lost loved ones to American bombs in Gaza, we're relieved that Biden is no longer running. And now it's up to Vice President Harris to turn the page as the presumptive nominee to turn the page from Biden's disastrous Gaza policy and regain trust by saying not another bomb for Israel's war and occupation against Palestinians. That's what we're all waiting to hear. Will she be any different on dropping American bombs on people like the people in my community with the names and faces like ours? Until we see some real movement, we'll continue to put pressure on the administration and on her to change course, because we need to save lives, and we will be taking that into the DNC with our delegates.
In a statement, you said supplying weapons to Netanyahu's regime makes a mockery of Democrats' claims to fight against MAGA authoritarianism. So if Harris does not take a clear stance, where would the uncommitted delegate votes go?
I think at that point, uncommitted delegates and the over 700,000 voter base that they represent are going to vote their conscience come November. And so that is why it is so important that whoever the nominee is, and right now that presumptive nominee is VP Harris, she will need to do everything to unite that party. And we have been saying since February, in order to unite this party and have a fighting chance in the race to the White House, we need a change in policy when it comes to Gaza. We need to stop Israel's war and occupation against Palestinians.
Well, she has called for a ceasefire. Is that not enough?
Calling for a ceasefire is not enough. A weapons embargo and a ceasefire going hand in hand. We can call for a ceasefire, but as long as this administration and our government continues to fund Israel's war, a real ceasefire cannot be realized. And that's what we need right now, not only because it's the moral thing to do, but also because we need to unite our party if we are going to have a fighting chance to win this race to the White House. And the only way that we can do that at this point is really to have a page taken out or a turn of page from Biden's current policy.
And we should note that you're the younger sister of Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, the first Muslim woman to ever serve in the Michigan legislature. You've made it clear you do not want to see Donald Trump back in office and say he has never been a friend to the Palestinian American community. Elaborate on that thought.
Yeah, absolutely not. I think communities like mine, the Palestinian community, Arab American and Muslim community, know full well what it means to live under a Trump presidency. But that is to say, right now, our community is feeling a lot of grief. And right now, what we need out of this administration and out of this presumptive nominee is do everything in their power, not only to unite this party, but also to have that fighting chance against Trump.
Layla El-Abed, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Now to the speculation swirling tonight over who could be tapped as Kamala Harris's running mate if she secures the Democratic nomination. For that, we turn to our chief Washington correspondent, John Carl.
As Vice President Kamala Harris edges closer to getting the pledged delegates she needs to clinch the Democratic nomination, her team is already focusing on the process of choosing a running mate, tapping former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder and his law firm to prepare to begin vetting potential candidates. And speculation among Democrats close to Harris has focused on several elected officials, including North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, who has been elected governor twice in a state Democrats hope to win this year. Popular first-term Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, a state Harris needs to win. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, a moderate and a rare Democratic governor in a red state. And former astronaut and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, husband of Gabby Giffords. In Pennsylvania today, Shapiro was asked about speculation he could be chosen as Harris's running mate.
This is a deeply personal decision that the vice president will make. She will make it on her own timetable and her own timeline.
He also pointed out he's known Harris for 20 years.
We have both been prosecutors.
Governor Shapiro was one of the first calls the vice president made after President Biden announced he was bowing out.
Our conversation was all about how we beat Donald Trump and protect our freedoms here in this Commonwealth.
Governor Cooper has also known Harris for some 20 years, going back to when they were both state attorneys general. Today, he talked about Harris's recent visit to North Carolina to mark the anniversary of the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade.
How dare they? How dare they?
She's going to bring that excitement to the people that we need to bring to the polls. The young people, women, suburban women who can vote either Republican or Democratic.
Governor Beshear today was asked what he would bring to the table if he were to be tapped as Harris's running mate.
Certainly, we've shown that we know how to win. We know how to reach across the divide and how to campaign in a way where we talk to people and not at them.
Our thanks to Jonathan Karl. Next tonight, the blistering hearing on Capitol Hill. Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle grilled over the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, facing bipartisan calls to resign, Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle grilled in a blistering hearing on Capitol Hill. 9 days after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump.
It is my firm belief, Director Cheadle, that you should resign.
The director has lost the confidence of Congress at a very urgent and tender moment in the history of the country, and we need to very quickly move beyond this.
Cheadle calling the attack the most significant operational failure in decades.
On July 13th, we failed. I take full responsibility for any security lapse of our agency.
Lawmakers angry as the director refused to answer specific questions about what went wrong.
Have you provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th, yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of today.
Cheadle forcefully pushing back against accusations the Secret Service had denied requests for additional security at the rally. And today revealing a local SWAT team spotted Thomas Matthew Crooks on the roof of that warehouse approximately 18 minutes before Trump took the stage. Adding the Secret Service was alerted between 2 to 5 times about a suspicious person before the first shot was fired.
Why was he allowed to take the stage with a suspicious person having been identified in the crowd?
If the detail had been past information that there was a threat, the detail would never have brought the former president out onto stage.
Cheadle saying Crooks wasn't considered a threat until seconds before the shooting.
Because Donald Trump is alive, and thank God he is, you look incompetent. If Donald Trump had been killed, you would have looked culpable.
Some damning words there, our thanks to Pierre. Newly released body camera video shows a chaotic scene of a deputy fatally shooting a woman who called 911. This happened in Springfield, Illinois, and we want to warn you, some may find the video disturbing. The video shows the now former deputy Sean Grayson and his partner responding to Sonia Massey's home after she called about a suspected prowler. Things escalated when the 36-year-old mother went to remove a pot of boiling water from the stove.
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
I
rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
You better not. I swear to God, I'll shoot you right in your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop.
Massey was shot 3 times with 1 bullet to her head. A judge has ordered Grayson to remain in custody during pretrial hearings. He has pleaded not guilty and could face life in prison if convicted. Now to the extreme heat and wildfires in the West. One flaring up in Riverside, California, east of L.A. At least 3 homes destroyed, others damaged. Nearly 1,500 threatened by the fast-moving flames. Another outside Sacramento, some 300 firefighters battling the Ridge Fire after it charged through more than 2,600 acres. It's now 25% contained. And we still have much more to get to tonight. Coming up, it's the plot twist in the presidential race neither party could have written. But how will history treat the legacy of Joe Biden's more than 50 years in public office? But next, an unprecedented mass shooting in Croatia is sparking calls for stricter gun control. What led a gunman to kill 6 people, including his mother, at a nursing home?
Whenever news breaks,
We are here in Israel, a nation at war after that brutal surprise attack by Hamas.
On the ground in Ukraine, reporting from Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine.
Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey.
In Rolling Fork, this tornado tore through this little town.
From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii.
From Charleston, South Carolina, on the 2024 campaign trail.
In Iceland, let's go.
Traveling
traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines, from southern Israel,
Outside the Gaza Strip,
in Beirut, from the FBI.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there.
You're streaming
ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news.
Hey, good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Morning. Are you ready? They are ready.
Covering the biggest events in the country right now.
There's a lot going on here this morning.
It's always a good time. That's what the show's about.
That's good.
Really good. Very good.
Coming in hot. Jimmy, coming in hot.
It's far from elementary. Oh. Good morning, America.
I'm not going to try to strut like Michael or anything.
I have known George a long, long time.
Have you ever gotten him to dance?
Look at that face. You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in too. I'll be here.
I am here and so happy.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'm in.
That tells you something when Snoop Dogg's in. Michael, George, Lara, Ginger.
I'm Matt Rivers, traveling with the U.S. Secretary of State in Beijing, China. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. We're tracking several headlines around the world. Israel Defense Forces say 2 hostages that were taken by Hamas militants are no longer alive. That comes as we're learning 70 people were killed in southern Gaza today after Israeli forces confirmed it targeted dozens of sites. No word yet on if the victims killed were in a designated humanitarian safe zone or in areas where people were forced to evacuate. Meantime, the death toll in Gaza has now surpassed 39,000. A gunman has killed 6 people, including his mother, at a nursing home in Croatia. Officials say one victim was an employee. The suspect, identified as a former police officer, fled the scene but was later caught. Authorities are investigating a possible motive. Last year's Wimbledon champ Marketa Vondrousova withdrew from the Summer Olympics just days before the opening ceremony in Paris because of a hand injury. The 25-year-old from the Czech Republic also took home silver at the Tokyo Games. She says her focus now is on being ready for the U.S. Open next month. Also putting out of the tennis competition in Paris is Poland's Hubert Hurkacz with a knee injury. The games begin on Friday. And still to come, the Democratic Party is in uncharted territory, and Americans have a historic choice to make. But as 106 days tick down to the general election, we pause for a look at the life, leadership, and unfolding legacy of President Joe Biden and his political career spanning more than 50 years. Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland, from Poland once again tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home? We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Splintered houses and splintered lives. And the magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Raleigh, North Carolina, the U.S. Capitol, Mayfield, Kentucky, Minneapolis, Mexico, Tongass National Forest, Alaska. Getting you behind the stories as they happen, giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live. ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live, streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
There was a specific moment during our wedding. I looked at Jason and I realized this was real. This was our family.
This is her knight in shining armor.
Everything felt right. All of a sudden, I found this hidden folder. I opened it, and I don't think I can say it. I'm sorry.
She put her hand to her mouth and, gasped.
Jason would kill me before he would let me tell anyone this part of him.
He's in so much freaking trouble.
I remember just feeling like, what the hell? That was my dad. What is going on? That's when that fire inside of me shifted to like a flame. I was like, it's on. Betrayal is one of the hardest types of trauma to overcome. He didn't think I had it in me to do something. So I did.
Betrayal, a father's secret. The all-new season, only on Hulu.
With his decision to pass the torch, President Biden forever changed how he'll be remembered. Much of the focus recently has been on his fitness to hold office. His career in public service has spanned more than 50 years. And we want to bring in political historian Joanne Freeman to look at a fuller picture of our country's 46th president. Joanne, thank you so much for joining us. How rare is it for a president not to seek a second term?
Well, generally speaking, it's rare. I mean, it's rare, speaking broadly, for men in power to just step aside and not maintain that power. For a president, it's extremely uncommon, and even more so, this close to the nominating convention. So it's a rare thing, and I have to say, it's an honorable thing. You know, it's a act of patriotism, really. And in this particular campaign, seeing someone step back from power, I think that has deep meaning.
And as we talked about, this has been spanning his political career more than 50 years. First joined the Senate in 1972. How do you think his exit from the race will impact his legacy ultimately?
Well, you know, I think, along with many other people, that a lot of the accomplishments that he had during his presidency did not get a lot of attention and should have gotten more attention. I think that this might well be the thing that gets highlighted when, speaking as a historian, people look back to this moment. This is such a act of sacrifice, in a sense. It's hard not to see people looking back to this and really seeing this in this moment when there's such a political crisis going on, that he walked in and did this in this way, and then took on, you know, endorsed Kamala Harris as his successor. In many, many ways, that's a really powerful act.
Obviously, he's suffered a number of tragedies, even from early on, dealing with a childhood stutter and then losing his wife and daughter in a car accident early on. And subsequently, he said he wasn't going to run for president, right? But ultimately that he felt that he needed to fight to save the soul of democracy, of our country. Would you say that in bowing out, it doesn't necessarily mean he hasn't achieved that?
Yes, I don't think it's a statement saying he hasn't achieved it. I think that it's a statement that, given where we are and what we're seeing and what we just saw at the Republican National Convention, saving the soul of the nation means being flexible, means being adaptable. And I think he's done just that by stepping back and altering the dynamics of the campaign, and really, I think, revving it up and potentially introducing a younger generation of people to be really enthusiastic about what's to come.
Joanne Freeman, we thank you so much for your insight and time. Appreciate it. And that is our show for tonight. I'm Linsey Davis. ABC News Live is here for you all night with the latest news, context, and analysis. You can always find us on Hulu, Roku, Pluto TV, the ABC News app, and, of course, on abcnews.com. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
They call him the beauty queen killer. He's targeting young women in malls.
I am single. I want to enjoy the company of a member of women.
He tortured me.
How did she survive 9 days of terror?
The word accomplice came up.
Nobody knows the real story.
The Beauty Queen Killer. Only on Hulu. Nightline. The stories that shape your world.